two, one. Hey, folks, welcome to Bouncing Brains. We are here on, December 9th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
I am Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. Fun fact of the day, I started paying child support 3 years ago today. It's a beautiful thing, y'all. It's a beautiful thing.
Yo, what's up? It's DeeJay Lo.
And with that being said, our beautiful guest for today.
You can tell he's a professional. He looked at that situation and went, they're not going to dig it out.
Yeah, I guess it just comes with
It happens, man. I love my baby and I don't regret it. But people, just know that if you have kids and it doesn't work out, child support is real. All the fuck I'm saying.
It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah.
So it's been a year since we've had you in here.
It's been a minute.
Literally,
It's been a year?
it's just been a year.
Really? Wow.
It's been a year and you still hold the record for the longest episode.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I do have that.
Which
long-winded talk.
it was awesome. But now we actually do have a couple of sponsors. So unfortunately, we can't go for 4 hours.
Let's mention those right now.
Yeah, well, we do that at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Tied in with our distribution. Hey, Fred Sevi. Yeah, man. So what have you been up to? Anything new in the past?
Man.
2019?
You actually wanted, you told me off camera that you wanted to talk to us about some stuff.
Yeah.
So I would like to let you, give you more of the space to.
Titties and beer.
Oh, shit, that sounds good.
Always a welcome conversation.
For real.
Yeah. So a lot's happened in the past year. I stepped out of my radio career for a little while back in, I think it was late May, and jumped into teaching middle school. So that came out of the blue. I had applied for it, didn't think I was going to jump into teaching right away, but it's always been something that I wanted to do, and eventually get into the collegiate level of teaching. I want to be able to teach college level, working on my master's and different things that I have.
Oh, you're working on your master's now?
Creative writing.
Shit, man. For creative writing?
Yeah, screenplays, movies, stuff like that I want to work on.
And why the fuck do you want to teach? No offense if you're a teacher.
It's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. It really is.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm a writer. I'd like to believe I'm a writer. I've been doing this since I was like fucking 9-10 years old, writing poetry. I have a published book that flopped, but it's still out there somewhere. My point is, I feel that if you have a master's, bro, in creative writing, why not go for the monster? You know what I'm saying? The monster of, you just mentioned a couple. Screenwriting, fucking, even if you do playwrights, bro. People don't know, man, but people that do playwright work, if you playwright and that shit ends up on Broadway in New York, and like people sleep on that shit.
You know, from a very young age, I've always wanted to get to that level of writing, and I knew, speaking to professionals throughout my life who have, whether they were my teachers or mentors, people who have written books, friends that have written books, I've always felt that if I wanted to outshine, the talent that's out there, because there's a lot of talented people, but a lot of them miss the mark because they don't hone their skills.
Yeah.
And to me, I knew that I needed to take a step back and figure out what is it that I could do to improve on my skill set.
Yeah.
And one of them was going back to college and getting my degree to understand the basics of how the world functions and at least see what doors and opportunities open up, to me, because there's a lot of avenues that open up when you go to a university and people that are connected to other people. You network in a way that you would have never been able to network because you're just not in that circle.
Yeah.
So going to the university and speaking to other professors and other writers from all over the U.S., it motivated me to understand also that I wasn't at that level yet, at least in my own view. I knew I was a good writer, and I knew that I could write well enough to where people were like, wow, this is some good stuff. But I wanted to be an exceptional writer, one where it wasn't just like good, it was great. And I knew that the only way I could do that is, one, by reading a lot, reading everything that's out there, different styles, not just American literature, but British literature and any literature you can get your hands on, translated stuff, everything from Jose Saramago to, Paulo Coelho, whatever, I forget his name. I can never get his name right. But Pablo Coelho, something like that. He's got a few good books. The Alchemist and other books like that. Excuse me. So I just, for myself, I wanted to go and get that master's, because taking creative writing courses in the university, creative writing 1, and then, excuse me, I'm burping a lot here with this little drink we got right going on. I realized that, hey, I'm getting better with what I'm learning, these little tricks that I'm learning to write, styles and stuff. But I could see that there's other stuff that I could learn that could put me on that other level of writing. Yeah. Vocabulary and also sentence structure, syntax, everything. So I took linguistics. I took creative writing. I took everything that I felt was going to help me hone those skills in writing. And then while I was going to the university and I got into radio, it helped me because I was writing and translating commercials from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, and writing commercials for myself when I got sponsored by like Coca-Cola, Netflix, big companies that would come into the company. And because of my skill set and ability to write, I was given those gigs that other DJs wouldn't normally get. And I was getting some crazy sponsorship and some good money, which made a lot of the older jocks jealous. And I could tell because, they'd kind of give me that look or that attitude, or, any little thing they'd find, that I do, they would kind of pick on it, or they would tell my boss shit. But my boss at the time always had my back. Alex Duran used to be my mentor. He's the one who brought me into radio. So because he was honing me into radio and I had the skill set of writing, it just opened up other doors there at the radio station that other DJs and jocks didn't have, because they didn't have that skill set. And I thought to myself, well, if this little bit of university level, tool set is helping me just with my job, I can only imagine what working on a master's, where you have to take more advanced, creative writing and take it to the next level, will get me when I'm ready to write, bigger stuff like screenplays that I've been working on, and also plays, and not only that, but novelas and soap operas and commercials even. So, especially now that the land market is growing up so big, you need that somebody that can translate from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, and back and forth. So that helped me a lot too, being bilingual. Unfortunately, they let go a lot of jocks because of money, and I was already at the edge where they were like, you know what? I kind of felt like the full timers felt like I was giving them too much competition. So the people managing us at the time, certain individuals were like giving me a real hard time and giving me like rotten schedules, knowing that I work at night DJing and then schedule me in the morning to come in and run a board, something that I'm not even supposed to be doing. I'm a DJ on air personality, not coming in to run a board on a morning show. So they put me in a situation where I was like, you know what? This is a waste of my time and I need to move on. And that's when I applied to teach as a stepping stone, not only out of radio, but also health-wise, I wasn't doing too well. I had a lot of health issues. I had sleep apnea, severe sleep apnea. I only sleep an hour or two at a time. I was choking all the time when I'd wake up. I wouldn't get more than an hour. And I was always fatigued and tired. And so
now you say like I was always past tense. Are you still struggling with that, or? I'm
struggling a little bit still, but because of the insurance.
You started working out. I thought I saw you post a couple of videos. Yeah. Pictures a couple of times.
I started doing the simple health lifestyle changes.
I told you last time, man, that to come to the gym with me. If I finally fucking convince Mario to come with me, I'm trying to see if I can get you in there, man.
No, and I will. As a matter of fact, today.
That's what Mario said. And
no, see,
it took me about a year.
My thing is better late than never. But no, I just barely got the call today from DME that my CPAP machine, which is a machine that helps you breathe.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Is ready, and on tomorrow they'll be setting it up for me, and I'll be able to finally sleep. because I don't get rest. I just sleep. So I don't go into the REM state. And when I had a sleep study, they told me I had like 300 and some odd episodes within 4 hours. It was bad. So my doctor was like, you get like 88 oxygen level, you're 50%, you're not getting oxygen to your brain, you got a lot of issues. So other than that, I'm healthy, blood work, everything, no bad cholesterol or anything like that. So he said,
really?
Yeah.
Like you're straight?
I'm straight. I'm good.
What
from
about
the inside.
I mean, if you don't mind, if you do, it's cool. But like your blood pressure.
Perfect.
Fuck, bro. And I struggle with blood pressure for a year. I mean, I don't know because I lost a lot of weight. And now that my weight is regulated, I'm off all my pills and my cholesterol and all that shit. But for a long time, my high blood pressure was really high. It was like at stroke levels.
Yeah.
Thank God I never had a stroke. But it was like the 4 trips that I made to the emergency room. The doctor always told me that I was borderline stroke, and he even told me, he's like, bro, you're 30 years old at the time, or 31 years old at the time. He's like, the numbers that I'm looking at, they should be my numbers, and I'm fucking 65. You know what I mean? So it's just, but I mean, I managed to lose like a lot of the weight, and I noticed that when I lost a lot of the weight, like my everything like regulated. So now I'm trying to keep it that way, and going on to what you're saying. Like I tell Sean all the time, bro, I was like, man, like it feels good to be able to breathe. Cause I got to a point where like we'd be sitting on the couch and we'd just be talking, bro, and no bullshit. I'd get out of breath. I felt like I had just ran somewhere, and Sean told me once, he was like, bro, are you alright? Cause you sweating. He was like, I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. It was just, But when I was out of breath sitting down, that's when I realized, I was like, you know what, I gotta change something quick.
That's not a good sign.
No. Yeah. And my issues is, I have a lot of scar tissue from previous, pneumonia and stuff. So I only have like 85% use of my lungs. So because I'm heavy set, all that fat surrounding my lungs and everything makes it difficult to breathe as it is. And it doesn't help with the sleep apnea. And of course, most of that is weight related anyways. So, I think once I'm able to get some good rest, and my doctor said straight up, he's like, once you get rest, you can worry about working out and doing all that other stuff because your body will have the energy. Because right now you don't have the energy to do that stuff because you're not resting. So we need to put you on this CPAP for a while, and then once you do a good month on it, then you'll feel the energy come back. But I think with me, I mean, I do some intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I do.
16-4, 16-8 or 20.
Yeah, I do 16-8 and it works. It works perfect.
I mean, it works miracles. You do it every other day. 4 or 5 times a week. And
I'm actually I've been doing it every day now for 2.5 weeks, and I feel a lot of people look at me weird, but I notice that it's the people that really don't understand how it works. But it's like, bro, how do you do that every day? They think that I'm gonna like pass out or some shit. It's like, bro, I feel a lot better. I have a lot more energy. I think more clear. I'm able to like emphasize on my thoughts, and when I perform, I'm more quick with it. Like I'm sharp with it. I guess what I'm saying is like my mind is no longer cloudy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then I tell everybody, like, I say it, like, very sharply. Bro, like, it feels good. I'm coming up also on like 9 years of sobriety. And just now, I'm really starting to feel the positive effects. I tell everybody that I feel like my brain is, like, renewed. And I tell everybody that I've never felt more strongly about being proud about being sober, because dude, it feels great. It feels great not to feel like a piece of shit. And when I say to feel like a piece of shit, I meant that I felt like a piece of shit physically. I couldn't do anything, bro. Like I couldn't. The only way I would function correctly is if I was drunk, or not even drunk, but like tipsy. I had to have liquor in my system so that I could function. You know what I'm saying? And I could, and like it was horrible. Being dependent on anything is like horrible. I had a problem taking one small pill, the cholesterol pill and the high blood pressure every day. I mean, I know that it was for my health, but the act of taking a pill daily made me feel weird. Every single day, I was like, bro, you're 30 years old. You shouldn't be fucking taking a pill daily to survive. You know what I mean? To like continue living or whatever. That's when I said, I was like, you know what, man, fuck this shit. Like, the doctor told me, he's like, it's in you. You're still at a good time to turn your health around. He's like, don't wait till you're my age, because then you're going to be fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I made those changes. I now work out every day. And like, I feel great. I mean, I still got more to go, but I'm a lot better now. And then I also feel the positive impact in my performances. So it's like, now I just need to get to the money.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, that. And I mean, the positive benefits of intermittent fasting are, you know, beyond phenomenal. Neurogenesis, you know, increased metabolism, weight loss, you know, and on top of that, I mean, now with new science coming out, well, that's been out for a while. If you have the money, peptides, you know.
I'm sorry?
Peptides.
I've heard. I think I've heard of that. Just elaborate.
Derivatives are what they call just mimicking growth hormones, HGH. So what they do is they take different segments of the HGH and they synthesize it a particular part of it, a peptide that will work on certain aspects of what the growth hormone does.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're trying to recover from injuries, you can take there's one called TB500.
Isn't it like stem cells? They do the same shit.
No.
With like
it just stimulates your pituitary gland to excrete a certain section of your own hormone. So there's no side effects. There is side effects when you take actual growth hormone. You know,
I was about to tell you what I'm about to say, people. I don't condone unless you see a medical professional and you're in a country where it's legal.
It is legal here. Alpha Male Clinic.
I was about to say I when I was 17, I took HGH, but I took it to grow.
Right.
And it's unbelievable, bro. Like the way you get shredded, and I was weighing 150, but I was cut. Like I was like real cut or whatever. And I got cut quick. But when I was doing it, it was still not entirely legal here.
Yeah.
Because the FDA hadn't regulated.
Yeah.
So you couldn't even get it here. I'm not gonna say where I got it, but I'm pretty sure y'all know. Yeah. So I mean,
now it's all peptides. It's all like, you know, they stimulate your own pituitary gland. It used to be that HGH was, you know, the go-to, I guess you would call a fountain of youth. But now because of the way they've been able to synthesize just different analogs of certain sections of the peptide and create these peptides, the new science has created all these rejuvenating clinics for male and females. So you have the alpha male clinics that you can go in, and specifically for what you're going for. If you're going for anti-obesity, there's anti-obesity. If you're going in for leaning out, building muscle, whatever, anti-aging, testosterone, you know, increasing your testosterone, growing hair, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's several hundred new peptides out there.
I still haven't found out the cure to make hair stop growing. So
hair stop growing?
That's what I'm struggling to fuck with. And people tell me, you have a head full of hair. Like, you motherfucker, you can have it. If you can have it and make it not grow back, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, no, a lot of people struggle. Yeah. I struggle with it. Growing hair, period.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much, you know, what I've been working on is just trying to get my health back and because, you know, now I can focus on myself and not so much on my kids. I still, you know, take care of my kids, but they're on their own. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I still have a couple of them on my insurance to keep them, you know, keep them healthy.
Keep them alive
Yeah,
and shit.
they're my insurance, you know, when I start getting too old.
Yeah.
But other than that, just my focus is to do this for a little while. I don't know, maybe up until the end of, well, of course, finish off this year. I don't know about next year. I'm thinking of working on other projects. And one of my passions has always been singing and performing as well. So I have a couple of songs that I wrote years ago, and I've had them on the back burner, and I've been wanting to sing them and go out there and see what they're worth.
I wanted to pitch an idea, and I'm pretty sure you've thought about it, or maybe you haven't. I just figured maybe you did because you're a DJ. and you've been in the entertainment industry. Have you ever given any thought or entertained the thought of doing voiceover work?
Yeah, there's actually a site that I work through called Upwork, and
I know Upwork.
I've done a few
I
gigs through Upwork.
Yeah, I submitted. Nobody fucking with me. Yeah, ain't nobody fucking with me.
I've done like a couple $25 gigs here and there, looking for Spanish speakers, translations, and stuff like that. Excuse me. But
I also subscribe to. I mean, I don't do it now anymore because I didn't find any traction. But I use a site. Shout out to Voice Bunny. They're actually pretty legit.
Really?
But they won't fuck with you unless you got like some experience.
Yeah.
Some radio experience,
Yeah.
TV experience.
And see, that's my thing is I'm
like
very
that.
shy about putting out like all my I'm not. A lot of people tell me, hey man, you've done all this stuff and you've got radio and I have my commercials for Coca-Cola and Netflix and even you name it car lots and eye doctors and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never been one to be like, go show it off and try and, look for gigs and stuff like that. And I think that's one of my, I don't know if it's.
I would advise you. I would advise you to try, like, for example, with Voice Bunny, because like with Voice Bunny, man, like everything is like pandered, like to you. Like, for example, when you register and once you get hired as like their contractor, because in a sense you're their contractor, right? You're contracted by them. So the way it works is that you literally go into a place that's like a virtual bulletin board,
Mm-hmm.
and they show you all the gigs that are available, like on a daily basis. So all you got to do is click on the one literally that you want, and you audition for it. But the way you audition is you just got to submit your tape, and then normally they get back to you within 24 to 72 hours, and they'll be like, okay, we're going to give it to you. And then I believe they give you another 72 hours to do the work, and you submit it back. And then if you get picked up, you get paid. And everything, what I liked about it is that you could literally work from anywhere. You know what I'm saying? You can record it at your house, you send it off, you get paid electronically. They take a small percentage, and like the rest is yours. No, I didn't get far because I didn't get fucking picked up or anything. So
I think that's where I need to be. I don't know why I've been procrastinating on a lot of stuff lately. I think
the reason I brought it up, brother, is because I was wondering if by any chance you would give me some tips on how to. I would love to do voiceover.
Voiceover? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but then I've heard my shit back on this fucking shit, and I'll be honest with you, I've heard myself back, and I'm like, I wouldn't fucking hire me, bro. I get why they never call me back.
Man, there's a need for every kind of voice and talent, man. I mean, I don't really like my voice too much on the mic,
Dude, you and this motherfucker, bro. I don't know how the fuck y'all are not like this dude can be like a 1-900 operator for them women and shit.
Ladies.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You're calling 1-800 DeeJay Lo.
I have a friend.
Tickle your eardrum.
She literally asked me. She was like, "Who's your co-host?" And I was like, "Oh, his name's Sean." And he was like, "Tell Sean I said he sounds sexy." I was like, "Bitch, you tell him that. I'm not gonna fucking."
What do you call that?
Thank you, friend.
Yeah, what do you call that? That type of YouTube thing where you whisper like this?
ASMR.
Yeah.
ASMR.
I think I could do that.
Yeah,
I could really get into that.
I can't even do that. Because they're gonna say this guy's still talking.
You can actually do that using just the little
The
Zoom recorder.
Because
it's got that stereo stereo speaker.
Yeah, that's legit. I used it a few times at the university when I was doing interviews for different things that I was.
If I'm not mistaken, man, I believe that Vinny just got into doing that in Austin. I think what he did was wherever he's living, I think he set up a small studio and he started doing voiceover work.
Really?
So I think he records it and I think he has somebody like producing it and shit.
Yeah.
And I think he submits to like for the voiceovers. And shit. That's my problem.
In case y'all don't know who Vinny D is,
Shout out to Vinny D.
Vinny D.
Vinny
Hi,
D.
this is Vinny D.
Yeah.
94.5 The Rock.
Yeah.
Go back in the archives.
94.5. Yeah.
Watch the episode we did with him.
Yeah, man.
Vinny
for
D.
real.
Cool dude. We worked together for a little while.
So what I was saying was like I'm up for like doing, because I mean I already fucking do it with comedy. Like I write my own shit. I have to go in there and recite it. I have to memorize it. I have to deliver it. I have to fucking I have to work on my timing. So I know that I can get that shit down. What I don't have is I don't have your expertise as far as like because I know you can work miracles with equalizers and compressors and shit. But I don't know how much of a miracle somebody could work with my voice. But then I remember that there's fucking auto-tune, and I was like, can you do that shit like on just a regular fucking?
It's like Dre, you hear Dre in person, he sounds nothing like what he sounds on his albums. A lot of people will modify their voice and change their pitch, but really, the best thing is just a really good mic to capture your voice and your personality.
That's not true, sir, and I'll tell you why. I spent $400 on a mic once. I'll tell you exactly what mic it was, and I was like, I still sound retarded. And my friend was like, well, that shit it's not gonna cure cerebral palsy. He's like, it doesn't do that, you know what I mean? It's it was the R33 320 broadcasting mic, the long one with the built-in compressor.
Yeah.
They use it for broadcasting.
Yeah,
and somebody stole my fucking mic. So.
Just if you're out there, motherfucker.
Yeah, they stole my. This was right before we were gonna start this little project here. I was so pissed, man.
I've actually modded my own mics. I'll buy a good mic that has a good, that's modifiable, and I'll buy the capsule at a place called micmods.com, and I'll change the capsule out, and it'll sound like a U8, like one of the best mics out there. The U87, I think it's called. What is it by? German name.
I know the Shure mic is a very good one.
Shure's good. I had the
Shure dynamic one.
Yeah,
I use that one. My
the Nyman U87. That's one of the top vocal mics for voiceovers.
Well, no, what I was gonna say was I didn't, before I got my condenser mic, I got a Shure dynamic, and I was using it for vocals while I was recording somebody else. But you know how when you want to get that dynamic sound, because it captures basically everything around when you're like when somebody's trying to rap or sing or whatever.
Right.
So you use that fucking that condenser. Well, I mean, I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I broke it or some shit happened, and I had to use that dynamic. But with dynamic mics, well, we all know that they're best for vocals when you're gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that Shure one, man, it fucking, I mean, again, if you know how to work a board, which at the time I had somebody else working a board, you do miracles on that fucking mic.
Oh yeah.
It is kind of expensive. I think the cheapest, like mid-grade, quality dynamic Shure, you're looking at like $60 or $70, but it's $60 or $70 like well fucking spent.
Yeah.
Like they're great fucking. They're also great fucking mics for live performances.
Yeah, well, they're like the not the SM57 or the one right below the SM58.
Yeah,
they're like $80-$90, or I think cheaper, like $40-$50. But really, for like vocal work, you want to get a capsule, a phantom powered capsule type of mic,
right?
And a good screen protector, to be able to protect it, because those crystals are very, very sensitive. So you drop it or you pop it too loud while you're talking, you can break the little capsule. And that's pretty much, I modded a mic. It cost me like almost $200 for the capsule. The mic itself was one of those cheap blue Audix mics. But really what counts is the wiring in there. and the capsule itself, it made it sound like a Nyman U87, which is one of the top mics. And really, like a lot of it has to do with just the internal components, not so much the external. As long as you got the basic internal components and it can pick up what you need it to pick up in the range that you need to pick up, from hertz, the lowest hertz to the highest hertz, and you pick it up in analog really clearly. That the other stuff, post compressors or post effects, yeah, they help, but really, a good, a good room that doesn't bounce off the, sound doesn't bounce off the walls too much, and a decent mic that, under $300-$400, it's like that mic cost me under $400 modded, and it's worth a $3,000-$4,000 mic. Yeah, because it has the same quality.
So let me ask you a question, because you have more experience in this than I do. As far as the actual, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just fucking out of brain for it. Because you were saying something about the mic. As far as the mic being, I lost it.
Like a capsule type, condenser, dynamic supercard.
No, I was going to talk about a dynamic mic, but I was going to say something. Fuck.
Yeah, well, you have dynamic, and then you have your next step would be a supercardioid, and then you get, your capsule type mic, which is your phantom powered mic. Yeah. Those are your more top of the line mics that pick up more sound. They're also good for vocals and stuff like that in vocal boosts.
Oh, I remember. So like right now, you're here. You both of you are hearing me in your ear. So this is the way I sound to other people, right?
Right.
I'm not saying me because I sound different to me.
Yeah.
But on that thing right now, are you using any kind of compression?
No. Okay. There's some after production.
So, quick question. That's where my question was. How much of the compression affects the quality of the sound of the voice? So that it can sound better.
It brings out more of your lower mid-range deeps. So you can get that deep resonance when you're hearing them through speakers.
Basically, in layman's terms, like again, because you're hearing me, do you think that you would be able to make me sound good for voiceover work? Like if I get the script down, if I get the fucking that side of the job down.
Yeah, I mean,
or
anybody can sound good tweaked with, any audio engineer can make you sound good. It's just a matter of, capturing your whole voice and it's all its tonality, everything analog. And then you can reshape it after that however you want. You can make you sound like somebody completely different.
Really?
Yeah, like the only thing is you want to work on your syllabants, right? Your the way you
pronunciation.
Your clear. So then you have more to work with when you have a closed mouth and you slur your words more. It's harder to modify that. But when you're clear and you open up your mouth a little more and you pronounce your words clearly, that allows more range of sound to be modifiable, so that the audio engineer can say, hey, you know what? I can, tweak this a little bit more and add a more mid, more high, more lows, whatever it is. There's some jocks on the radio that they get real close to the mic like this.
Yeah.
And then they turn up the bass and it makes them sound real resonant, deep, bassy guys. But they really have these, really, high pitched voices, but they'll modify them and get real close to give you that real, and then they'll add more bass. So it sounds sexy.
See, like right there, I just feel like Lo just fucking ear fucked me. That's exactly what that felt like. I was about to move the fucking thing, and I was like, "Is my ear wet? Like, is that what the fuck happened to me?"
Yeah, I'm coming back here, baby. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, definitely, bro. We can work with that. It's not. So let's move on, because I know we're on limited time, and I know you have a lot. You don't want to be more.
We just hit the first half hour.
Yeah. So our themes. What do you want to talk about? I know you want to.
No. You did. This is you. You said that you wanted to talk about, and this is no bullshit. This is what you told me off camera.
Yeah.
You said literally, you told me that you wanted to talk about strip clubs, bar fights, and bouncers. That's what you said.
Yeah.
It's not my words, people.
No, it's true.
So
it's true.
So you take the front end.
So the reason is because I've been job shamed a lot.
For being a DJ?
For being a DJ.
Who the fuck would job shame?
And I'll tell you why. And it's weird because it goes all the way back, not just to like, people who have an attitude towards strip clubs, in a negative way, but even relationships in general.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. There's always that bad connotation that comes with strip clubs, that it's a very, it's a bad environment, it's gritty, it's sexual, sexually oriented. So obviously if you're working at or for a strip club, for some reason people think that you're a bad person, or that you're a nasty person or something like that, sexual person,
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of the fact that I worked at strip clubs, and I'm proud of the fact that it was one of the, I guess, catalysts for me to be able to put myself through college, raise my kids to begin with, so that they wouldn't live in poverty. Get myself through college with the money I would make from there, open up and have my business and equipment for DJing, and push me through the ceiling that I needed to get through in order to be able to attain better employment because of my degree, and opportunities open up because of it. But, I would come across people all the time, whether I'd be at the university or at work, or just people in general that I meet, they ask me, hey, so, what do you do? I say, yeah, I've been a DJ, for so many years. Oh, yeah, really cool. Where have you started? How'd you start or whatever? And I'm never afraid to say, well, I started working at a gentleman's club. That was my first gig as a DJ. I was 24, 25 years old. I fresh out of a separation, fighting for custody for my kids. And I needed a good job, and I had already done other, bartended and done other jobs for many years. Been working since I was 14. As far as on payroll, I've been working since I was a little kid, but selling candies door to door. But when I was 14, I was receiving a paycheck working for Shipley Donuts, driving their delivery truck, and that was my first legitimate job where I was getting paid. I had to renew my permit every 3 months.
Where you paid taxes, basically.
Yeah,
what the fuck are we trying to say?
That's taxes, death and taxes, that's a guarantee.
Yeah.
So, and flu epidemics. So, I would get job shamed a lot, and not just me, but I would see it with the girls working there. The girls trying to provide for their children, provide for their families. Being looked at, stared at, and name called or job shamed. They would ask them, where do you work? And well, I'm a dancer or entertainer at so and so club, and automatically they feel like they deserve less respect, and people will get this attitude or disrespect them or act, just totally shitty to them, because they feel that they're beneath, I guess, the working class.
Yeah. So
I got that a lot too. Not only, even now, as a teacher, they tell me, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't say, they would tell me, maybe you shouldn't say that you worked at a gentleman's club because, the parents or whatever. I said, chances are the ladies dropping off their kids, I've already worked with them. So I don't think it really matters, but whatever, I'll try and keep it to myself. But in my mind, I'm like, that's bullshit, It's like any other job. It's a legitimate job. We pay taxes. It's not illegal. We don't do any prostitution or anything illegal. If that kind of stuff happens, it happens outside of the club. It's not something that most clubs really deal with, because they got to deal with their licenses, and getting in trouble for that, they'll lose their licenses, Yeah. So most of them have good security and security systems to deal with anything like that. And so for many years, this was back, I started in 2004. I worked at all the gentlemen's clubs here in the Valley. I would even go up to Austin, San Antonio, Babe, Sugars, Perfect 10. But anytime
you DJ'd at Sugars?
Yes, sir.
Fucking remember. You ever been to Sugars, man?
Never been to Sugars.
If you ever fucking, man, if you go to San Antonio, bro, Sugars, bro.
It's a spot.
And you gonna see people with real money there.
Sugars.
Like, I mean, real. You think these people got money? That's the first time I saw $100 bills on the floor.
Oh, go to Dallas.
And I was like, oh shit,
Dallas.
I'm not the one stripping.
Houston, Dallas. Whoa, they make.
I went to the one in San Antonio.
San Antonio,
Yeah.
I mean, I worked at Sugars there. I worked at Babes in San Antonio. In Austin, I worked at Joy of Austin before it became Rick's, and I worked at Rick's. I worked at Perfect 10, and I worked at
Shout out to Sugars if anybody from Sugars watching.
You really seem to have enjoyed yourself.
Hell yeah, man! Sugars was the shit.
They also- and they serve food.
I'm not really shitting on the strip clubs from here, but I kind of am. Like Sugars, bro. Sugars is classy. Like I feel that if you're really cool with your chick, y'all can go on a date.
You could talk her into Sugars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She might forget the titties like here. You know what I'm saying? She might, bro, because it's nice. It's nice, and the food's good. Too.
Yeah,
I had some wings. They were good. They did taste like chicken. You know what I'm saying? If you ever get wings anywhere and they taste like fish, you need to run out.
I think I've told this story on here
Smell
before,
it
but
first.
the best fried chicken wings I've ever had
We're at a strip club.
at one of the sleaziest, my friend.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, you know. They want to bring in those customers, though.
Yeah, man. But shout out to Sugar.
The way to a man's heart is
Fucking-
through his stomach.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, yeah, man, it's one of the things that I've had to deal with, and I still deal with. People job shame individuals working in strip club. Most of the people that are career strip club workers, they don't give a crap. But stepping out of that lifestyle and into the, I guess you would say more of a, I don't even know. I wouldn't call it normal because nothing's really normal these days. But into, I guess, a less morally attacked lifestyle, people will get a negative attitude, man. They'll change the way they talk to me and the way and to me, I'm just like, if you're gonna change the way you talk to me because of me working previously at a strip club, then you're the one with the problem.
Exactly.
So why am I even gonna waste my time with you?
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
Fuck off. I don't need people like that in my life.
Right on this topic, man. I was just listening to something the other day where Brie Olson, when she stopped doing porn, tried to go into teaching. She got her certificate, was ready to go, and would run up against the wall every time when they're going, "Hey, we can't, we have you in here, and some of the students find out about it, and blah blah blah. If the parents find out about it, whole another blah blah blah." And
I mean, it's a whole issue of
They-
separate. Where's the separation of church and state?
That's
a lot of it is just a moral, just people's moral opinion.
Yeah.
and we have a long history of the blue laws governing, the gray areas of society and shit. And it's like, look, if we just had legalized fucking prostitution in this country, a lot of this stuff would just go out the window.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, and I have one of the greatest like stories, like along with what you're saying, and you too. And I'm not gonna go into detail about it because we don't have the time. But basically, I'd like to think that she's still my friend. We don't speak anymore because she doesn't live here and she's married now. But I had a friend. Shout out to Lisa. I don't know if Lisa will ever see this, but I had a friend. She lived here. She was from Edinburgh. Again, long story short, this chick was drug dealing. Sorry, Lisa, I'm putting her past. Well, I mean, I'm not sorry. She proudly put her past out there too. That's the whole
I love
point.
how he started the story off by going like, look, there's some things I can't talk about, but let me just give you all these details.
Well, I mean, Lisa, like,
And her mother's maiden name was
but you see how I will not mention her last name.
222.
No, but she actually, when she was young, when she was 14 years old, 15 years old, she started, drug dealing. She was like a real, like, neighborhood, like, drug dealer and shit. So she did that, and then she started having trouble, just like every other, drug dealer and shit. So she wanted to kind of get out of it and go legitimate, but she couldn't deal with the regular 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because she felt she wasn't making enough money. So she moved on to stripping. She was a stripper. She did the whole stripping thing and everything. And then I found out years later that now she is a full-blown registered nurse. So that was like, to me,
Shout out to all the stripping nurses.
yeah. And see, the thing is that, like, with her, she openly tells everybody about her past. It was like, I used to be a drug dealer. I was raised by a single mom and shit like that. But her main thing was that like nobody has an excuse.
Right.
You have to choose to want to make yourself better. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
like my past as a stripper, my past as a drug dealer or whatever. Man, if somebody just tuned in right now at that, they completely heard that. When they see me in person, you were a stripper?
Let's be honest, Freddy. You got a little bit of the fucking kink factor to it, man. You
Yeah,
can make good
man.
money, brother.
There are a lot of poles around here.
But yeah, she proudly says it and shit. So, which brings me to the point that I was going to tell you. I feel that should make for a stronger story
Most
of you
definitely.
actually shedding light of the shit that you used to do and you like came out of it.
Yeah.
Now, when you say it, don't glorify it, but just say, I came from here and maybe I was a piece of shit. Kind of like me too. I kind of have a dark past. Not that dark. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I was touched inappropriately here and there and shit happens. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody, right? But, I went through my fair share of shit, but, point is that you tried to make yourself better and you're in a better place now.
Yeah.
And that is like the moral of the story, you know what I mean?
No, and honestly, I loved it. I love my job. I love DJing and I was good at it.
Yeah.
I was one of the top DJs and I feel in my heart that I still am because I still go back to it every once in a while. And I honestly,
And you still do private parties.
yeah.
Right?
Well, I still have my DJ service for like regular, parties and quinceañeras, weddings, whatever. As a matter of fact, I just did one this past weekend for the school that I work for. I'm going to do another one coming up this next Saturday and then a Christmas party the following weekend. And I don't look for these gigs. They come to me.
Yeah.
They went for the university this past week also for the lighting of the tree with Santa out there and everything. So I don't put them out on social media anymore because I feel like that's just gloating. I'm blessed to have the opportunities to make that extra money and be able to put food on the table for because my kids sometimes need help now still, Dad, I'm struggling, I need money. So I throw them, a bone or whatever, because, I want my kids to still, even though that, because, my kids are still trying to get themselves educated and follow my path, and get through school. And I have a daughter who's trying to get her, she works for an attorney. She's going to go to law school. I have a son who's an audio engineer. He's in right now at this moment in Las Vegas recording Immortal Guardian, and he is a judge at the Cannabis Cup. And he's phenomenal. He's got his own recording studio.
There's a cannabis club?
Cannabis Cup.
Oh, I was like, a cannabis club? Somebody took it there. Shit, where is this at?
By High Times Magazine. He's a judge for Cannabis Cup. And
right on, man.
He got nominated. He's being sponsored by Ernie Ball Strings, Legator Guitars, 7-string guitars. He's got several bands. So but he still struggles, and I throw him, hey, Dad, I don't have any food in my fridge. Well, here's $100. Go buy yourself some groceries. And so these jobs that I get, that I don't really look for, I take them. I don't say, no, I'm too good for that anymore. Or, hey, I'll do them. Man, make that money and spread the love, for my kids especially. But as far as the strip club thing goes, I really enjoyed entertaining the crowd and being out there and putting on a show. The girls would come out more hype, more happy because I was a hype man, and I wasn't just the kind of DJ that would be like, yeah, boys, coming up, we got, beautiful Lucy. She's doing it for you tonight. And, I was more like, oh, yeah, but you got this beautiful lady come at you tonight. This is sexy candy. You have to get ready to taste that candy. You got to come out right now, boys. And I want to see them dollar bills. She's going to come to that brass and you got to put that cash on that ass. Show me some love. It's beautiful candy coming right at you. Check it out. Boom, people, the crowd would just be like, what's going on?
Quick disclaimer to the people that are just listening to this. There is no strippers in the house.
No.
I just want to let y'all know.
I know you all got excited.
That was just a little demo.
So I was, I trained myself to do that. It was good. The girls would make money. I get tipped out well. I go home with $300-$400 a night, sometimes $1,000 a night on good nights. And, I work 3-4 nights out of the week. Banking, dude, making $4,000 or $5,000 a month, easy, and the only issue that I had with it was at the time it consumed a lot of my evening time, so I didn't get to spend time with my kids.
Yeah,
and so my dream was always to get a day job to be able to spend time with my kids and a legitimate job where I had life insurance, health insurance, all the insurance, all that crap that everybody wants. Yeah. And to be able to take care of my kids too. Right. So I pushed myself to get to that point by going through college and getting a degree and getting to radio and so now I'm there and it helps, my kids now are able to go to the doctor. I'm able to go to the doctor, which is the main thing. I don't make as much as I used to make at the Gentleman's Club because most of it's taxes and, insurance and everything else. And teaching is a bitch, middle school is tough. It's a 12-hour a day thing, if not 14-hour, and you're even working on the weekends, but it has its perks. We get a week off for Thanksgiving, 2 weeks off for Christmas, the summer off, spring break. But it's a tough job when you're there. It's stressful. It's difficult. So props to all the teachers out there who teach because you're dealing with some tough situations.
See, that's my thing, man. For a while, when I was fresh out of high school, I entertained the idea of going to school to be a teacher, and then I figured out quick what like teachers really deal with. And see, I'll be honest with you, man. I'll choke a kid. And I was like, I'm not gonna fucking, you know what I mean? No, yeah, and it's funny. But the scary part is, I will fucking choke a kid. You know what I'm saying? I will, because these fucking kids today, bro, they're so fucking disrespectful. Yeah. They're so disrespectful, dude.
I mean, you say that like you've got a few chosen out already.
No, like I'm telling you, bro. No, like they will not shut the fuck up.
No, they won't.
They won't. They won't. And if you tell them I'm gonna what they used to tell us that's to scare the shit out of us when we were in school, I'm gonna call your parents. Call the motherfuckers. Yep. I'm telling you, I will choke a kid. I'm not gonna call nobody. You know what I mean? So
no, and I would.
So I was like, I
deal
can't.
With every day. I deal with every day. I have 130 kids, 5 periods, 30 kids per class, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boys and girls will act out and talk shit like that. Fuck you, sir. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna call your parents.
Exactly.
And then you call them. The parents talk to them, and supposedly, you document. You get administration involved, and ultimately, nothing happens. Exactly. Why? Because I mean, it's a money game.
And you know what really fucks shit up, man? The kid, and this is not on teachers. This is not at the school. This shit starts at home. And I'm not going to fucking lean off of what I've said before, and I'm not going to change because you know why there wasn't any shootings in school when we were in school? Because we actually got our ass whooped at home. But as soon as they took ass whoopings away from parents, not from teachers, because I strongly believe that a teacher should never whoop a kid's ass because it's not their job. You know what I'm saying? It's right. Your fucking job as a parent.
Exactly.
But when the law came in that you as a parent can't touch a kid, you're fucking me up with this parenting thing because that's why these kids grew up to be fucking like disrespectful and shit. I could never in a million years talk to my grandfather like that.
Oh yeah.
And expect to keep my teeth? Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? So that's the whole issue with that.
You're absolutely right. The corporal punishment, it's still allowed to a certain extent, but parents don't follow through. A lot of parents are afraid of their own kids, and there's no consequences, and they know this. These kids know that there's no actual real serious consequences, and so they get away with it, and the ones that have to deal with it are the teachers because they're in the front line. They're there every day, all freaking day with these kids, and they have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. I try my best to incentivize them because I know that a lot of these kids, especially the ones that I work with, they come from broken homes or homes that don't have much. So I incentivize them. Hey, you do well. You earn privileges or you earn points on a point system, and I hook them up with opportunities to sort of like when you go to Peter Piper Pizza and you can buy all these little prizes. Well, these kids can earn points to buy little prizes that have a little treasure box. Yeah. So I incentivize my kids, and it worked for a while because I was bringing Takis and all the stuff that they like, And then the school said, well, we're having a rat problem, so no more candies or any of that shit. Well, so that killed me, and then my kids were then, fuck you then, because you ain't giving me shit to look forward to.
Yeah.
And now it's been harder for me to incentivize them.
It's crazy, man, because I actually was talking to one of my friends, and she's a teacher. She teaches at the high school. I'm not going to say who it is and where she teaches because of what I'm about to say. But she told me that she has this one kid at school. This kid comes every day with a bag. He has two backpacks. His book bag, and he has a smaller backpack. And he carries nothing but Snickers, Twix, like a whole bunch of candy and chips. And what he does is he literally sells the shit to the kids in like every, she said that it's not every class because there's people that have not let him.
Right.
She's not supposed to allow him either.
Right.
But she was like, what am I supposed to do, bro? She was like, Snickers are fucking, and I asked her, I was like, do you stop him from selling? She was like, no, I buy shit from him. You know what I mean?
One of his best customers.
I had my son used to do the same thing, and my daughters, I would.
So point real quick. She said that she kept them after class. I was like, I kept them after class one day, not because I wanted to punish them, because she was like, I respect this hustle, but I just wanted to ask him. I was like, hey man, look, I'm not gonna throw you under the bus because I'd rather you be selling this instead of drugs.
Yeah.
So I respect it. So I just want to know, man, between me and you, I'm not going to fuck your hustle up. How much money are you making on a daily basis? He's like, oh man, on a good day, I'll leave with $70. Holy shit. And I'm like, $70 that he didn't have
There's
before
a lot
he
of
walked
money in the schools, man. All these kids come with, a lot of, dollars, $5, $10 in the pocket. They're looking for anything to buy. My kid used to make money off of it. They caught him and, he got in trouble, couldn't do it anymore. I had the situation in school recently where kids were coming in selling the chips as well. School caught onto it, and that's when they banned all that recently, and I wasn't able to even give away my stuff because it was a food item. So I brought a system back, but instead of food, it's, bracelets and, tazos and little things that they like to play with, but it's not the same because they love the, tamarindo pops. They love the Takis.
Food, man. Food is always going to be a seller, bro.
I mean, and they love Rice Krispies, man, because they never get that shit in their house.
Yeah.
Most of them are lucky to get that. So I'd buy a box of 60 at the Sam's, and I'd throw them in there, and they'd see them. They're like, man, what can I do to get that? Well, you got to do this homework and this homework.
Shut the fuck up and do your homework.
I would fucking get so much shit done that all the teachers were like, how the fuck are you getting all this? All this shit done. I'm giving them something to work towards. Once that system went away, there was nothing to look forward to. All my fucking grades dropped. They stopped working for me. They stopped attitude, talking shit. And it made it that much harder for me. So I was just like, I was thinking, well, fuck, I got to figure something out. I brought it back, with toys and knickknacks or whatever, dollar store shit. Right. It's not the same, It's not the same. They look at it like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll work. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 will work for it. The rest of them are like, well, if it's not fucking Rice Krispies or Takis, I don't want it. So I think a lot of the problem with schools is that these kids, they don't have anything to look forward to, and then you're trying to punish them on top of that. You need to give them something to work towards, whether it's a fucking candy or a food or a toy or whatever the fuck. If you give them something to work towards, a point system or something, a scale that they can say, you know what, I want that, and I'm going to bust my ass and do the right thing to get to that. They call it bribing. I don't think it's bribing because they're working for it.
It's a goal.
It's a goal, Bribing would be like, I'm going to give this to you now if you do this, versus no, you got to work towards this and you can earn this. And that's what I did. It was a point system. I would give them little blue tickets. Every time they turned in a homework assignment, I'd give them a blue ticket. And they'd hold on to it. At the end of the week, they'd come in and trade their tickets in for whatever I had in the treasure box. It was just basically a toolbox, plastic toolbox, but I'd throw everything in there in little bin compartments. And it worked great. It took that away, so it made my job that much harder. I'm a teacher that teaches one semester one grade and another semester another grade.
Yeah.
So my semester ends in about less than 2 weeks, and I'm done with this grade level, and I'll be starting all over with another grade level. So I'm coming to the end of the year exam, and my first year quarter exams grades were shitty. So now I'm incentivizing, like, look, you guys do well, I'll hook you up the last day that I'm here, fucking party. I'll bring pizza, I'll bring my DJ equipment. We'll have a little party here, cupcakes.
Oh shit! They'll let you bring your DJ equipment?
They
For real?
Yeah, man. They're like
they wouldn't even let us walk into school with Walkmans when I was in school.
They jam out. This particular principal brings in one of those portable fucking battery powered speakers,
Yeah.
and in the hallway every morning jams out with 90s hip hop. She loves 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
So she'll walk down the hallway jamming out the whole way. And we have other teachers that have been there that they have Bluetooth speakers.
They used to confiscate our shit.
and they'll jam
They
out.
took my iPod. They took everything from me and shit.
That's one thing I like about what they're doing is they know music motivates kids. So we play music while they're doing silent activities. We'll put it on the Bluetooth speaker and we'll put some chill music on. Sometimes let them listen to reggaeton or whatever they like, if they behave. Most of the time, it's just classical piano music and shit.
All right, we're coming up at the first hour right now, so we're gonna take a quick little break.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll explain right now.
Okay.
On our way out, I'd just like to recommend the story of the Pied Piper. I'll leave it at that. 3, 2, 1, and we're back. We were talking a little bit off mic about kind of preparing kids for the future, and I think that ties in well with what we were talking about right before we got off, man, about the scholastic environment that we're raising kids in at this point. The way the school system has almost become this surrogate parenting apparatus that it's not good at it. I mean, it was never designed to be good at it, and we've been using it for like 100 years with very little benefit. We put more money into it and get worse results.
Oh, definitely. And we're behind.
Well, okay. I think there's something to the idea about what's the word I'm looking for here? I know there's a proper term for it, vocational type of training, right?
Right.
And not just, we usually think something like shop or woodwork or, to be honest, the Future Farmers of America, I remember having a very good program when I was in school. And they had them doing like useful type of shit, the kind of stuff that would actually be vocational training. And, spread it out a little bit, man. Like I remember trying to take a computer, just maintenance course, not even programming. I took a programming course and it was almost as bad. They didn't have the instructors in place. They didn't have the materials so the kids could go through it on their own. I mean, this wasn't something you could kind of hand off to them and, let them run a little bit ahead of the class and find out who has the aptitude for it. There weren't even, I remember this being a big deal, man. There were no, wrestling. I think there were maybe 3 high schools down here that have a wrestling program.
Yeah.
So like by the time we were getting into that, it was like, well, if you're going to this school and you want to participate in something that, you think you might have a drive for, well, you're shit out of luck unless you actually, put out the money for a private, organization, which, the Little League programs. We had Marcus Keynote on here a while back, and he was talking about working with his kids' basketball program. Yeah. And you don't see, or you see less and less the involvement in those type of programs. You know what I mean? Like I remember there being a large push for the Little League baseball down here when I was in school, and the parents were active in the programs. They were doing stuff. You could argue maybe we're still on that little downward trend of the economy's not doing so good, so maybe the parents aren't out and as active. Maybe they're working more. Maybe the money to actually put into those programs isn't there. And that's one of those things where it's like, well, we don't have the money. It's like, well, when you're going to see the results of that, when you have this whole generation of kids that are not being, like we were talking about your kid having some issues with trying to pick fights in. Yeah, and we've got, kids that's a thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, you're already working on it. You were saying you've already got the conversation going about like, how are we going to address this as a parent?
Yeah.
But you get people that grow up that way their entire life and just, they get out into the real world, they're going to have problems.
And that was going to be my point. This is the other thing about my daughter, man. Like, she, not only does she like fight back and she'll push and she'll shove and she'll learn to throw, she's learned to throw her hand, but she also likes to fight the bigger kids. She doesn't really pick on kids her own size. It's always the kids that are up to like 1 or 2 years older than her. And my biggest fear with that is that I know for a fact that one day soon she's going to do that to another kid. And because they're bigger than her, they're going to hit her back, and they're going to hit her back maybe harder or whatever. And the thing about a parent, and I already told my ex-wife, I was like, if that happens, I'm not going to have a way to defend her. Because, bro, if you went and you did this to this kid and they hit you back, it's like, dude, that's on you. And I can't. Now, if they came to you and they started like fucking with you, and that's a different story. But if it's because you went over there because you don't know how to share your toy and you want to punch somebody and you did and they punched you back, that's on you, man. I mean, I can't. I'm not gonna be that parent either that I'm gonna defend my kid regardless of whether they were wrong or right. I mean, if they were wrong, dude, you gonna catch an ass whooping, and I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think Lo, you threw it out earlier, and you were saying it in jest, but that whole thing about a lot of truth in jest, man. Get her into some martial arts. Get her into something.
I want to, but my biggest fear about that is that I feel that in a way I might equip her to even become more deadly with it. And then she's going to be whooping ass like with...
Well, okay, you're bringing up the scenario of she's eventually going to pick a fight with a kid who's not only bigger than her, but more aggressive than her and is going to respond aggressively to her. You stick a kid into a good martial arts program, they're going to have them working with kids that are going to be, bigger. 2, 3, 5, 6 years older than they are, to the point where very quickly, I remember that being a very calming effect on me when I was an aggressive little kid, like judo. Just the idea that there is somebody bigger who is just more capable, like the kind of person that can just throw you around and, not break a sweat. And once you have that idea in your head, it's like, oh, I got to pick my battles. I got to make some choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and any martial arts school is going to give you a set of disciplinary factors. Like your child that's part of the whole martial arts is discipline. They're not going to teach your child anything that's, aggressively deadly without them first instilling the minimum standards of self-discipline. So they're going to have to do the workout routines. They're going to have to do the basics, and they're going to have to show that they're not only ready, but they're going to have to recite those commandments in any martial arts schools. You have to respect yourself, respect others, never use, martial arts against anybody, to hurt anybody on purpose. It's always for self-defense, and it's always a last resort. That's why you use your head first before you use your body. And that's pretty much any martial arts school. There's sort of like this universal commandments that all martial arts schools carry. I've been in martial arts my whole life. Wow. And I've never gone to a martial arts school where it's like, strike first, sort of like your Cobra Kai, type of mentality. It's always been like, no.
One mistake I have seen in multiple schools has been the failure to train the kids across age groups. Because when you kind of segment them off, if you have a large enough school, like you can fill a whole class up with, say 4 to 7-year-olds or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you're not like them letting those younger students train with the older students, so that they get that idea of not only, because it's, you get a group of, let's say, 20 kids. They're going to arrange themselves according to skill. Like they're going to quickly figure out who is the most aggressive, the most capable of performing the various moves. And then when you have them, they've got that worked out. They know who's the baddest in the class.
Right.
Then you take the baddest in the class and put him up against, a little bit older kid who's got the experience and also the size and the strength, blah, blah, blah. And very quickly the first becomes last type of thing.
Right.
Which is another problem I think we have with the educational system is you have these classes where very quickly you figure out who is the most apt for whatever it is, history, math, literature, yada, yada. And then there's no attempts. I very clearly remember the few attempts that were made in my own schooling where they would take us out of our environment and stick them, maybe just for a couple of days, stick us into the higher program and go like, okay, you're doing really well at this level. Here's what you're going to come up against right now. If you have the aptitude, maybe you take a few steps forward on your own initiative. Which is, when you were talking earlier about having to kind of incentivize the kids with, and don't get me wrong, I remember teachers doing the same thing when I was in school. The bring the treats, bring the toys. On Friday we're gonna bring in a PlayStation and play some blah 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 music, the whole fucking spiel. Like you were talking about your principal bringing out the speaker.
Yeah,
I very clearly remember having an elementary principal that tried something. She got disheartened real quick because it was just it's a rough crowd. You know what I mean? They were not receptive to what she was putting out there.
Yeah, some kids can be real quick to judge and put you on the ball, put you on the mark real quick because they're your eyes and ears.
Well, I think a lot of the cynicism, and granted, this might be due to my own cynicism, but I think a lot of the cynicism comes about because the school is not offering the useful alternatives in the sense of like, okay, if you have, I remember several cases, you've got a kid in the class, they're not good in the class, they're disrupted to everybody else, but they're also at the top of the class score-wise. So it's like, okay, what's the problem here? It's the environment. But, we don't have a class open right now. We don't have there's not a built-in mechanism to further that kid, to push, not, push him out of the pipeline, but to reroute their, trajectory as far as, can we get them into a class that's, say, if you got a hyperactive kid, maybe don't put them on drugs and maybe just take their ass outside for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's kind of cliche, it's like some Hallmark movie type of shit, but like I remember having a horticulture class when I was in junior high that like we had to like count ceilings and we had to like, geometry a little bit. It's like, okay, we got to measure this out and stack this the right way. We've got to, yardage for like how many trees we're putting in. We've got saplings coming, engineering as far as putting in the sprinkling system. Like we assembled all of this shit, right? And it's one of those things of like, okay, the classroom is very useful sometimes. You said you've gone through literature courses, and in that case, if we're all sitting around in a quiet room with no distractions going on, and we're all kind of maybe reading the text aloud, we're going over it, we're doing analysis, very useful. History occasionally, very useful. But every once in a while, when it comes to like mathematics and like even, like I remember having a very interesting speech course one year where we were going out and doing like, standing outside and like giving, kind of class presentations and just different environments. Cause the idea of it is not just, okay, can you get up and say what's on the paper, but can you get up and do that in a useful environment?
Yeah. No, and a lot of it has to do with, the school system that I work for is sort of a charter school system. It's a nonprofit organization, and they have a system that's very different from public school. It's a very meticulous, disciplined, timed system. Every lesson, everything has to be written out beforehand and timed, and every minute is precious. The culture in the classroom, the expectations are set at the beginning of the school year. And a lot of it has to do with the teacher being able to set those expectations and follow through with the discipline. I have a lot of patience, and that's one of my drawbacks currently, in that I don't follow through with a lot of the discipline, and that works against me. If I tell them kids, I'm going to call your parents or I'm going to do this, and I don't follow through, they call my bluff all the time. And unfortunately, it leads them to act out again.
Yeah.
Some other teachers don't have that issue because they immediately nip it in the bud, call the parents to what they got to do, document, suspend them or whatever. So those kids know not to fuck with that teacher when they walk in the classroom. Right. I messed up. This is my first year teaching middle school. I used to be a TA at the university, but this is middle school, completely different monster. I came in trying to be this, DJ cool teacher, and that's where I kind of fucked up. In that I try to go against the pathway that was set for me by the school system, because their system works. If you set the class culture and the expectations and you follow through and you create an environment that's conducive for these children to learn. In other words, your lessons are planned, they're timed, and you work through them quickly, and you don't give them a second to think, to fuck with you. There's no opportunity for them to have any disciplinary problems, because your lessons are constantly moving. The moment you pause and you turn around and you stop, that gives them too much time to start fucking with each other. And I've seen it because I've seen teachers that are, they're on it like this. And from those whole 67 minutes we're in there, from beginning to end, it's constant, vigorous teaching and monitoring. They're moving around what we call hotspots, areas of the rooms where they can monitor the whole room, and they're constantly moving back and forth down the aisles. I get lazy sometimes. I'll sit at my fucking desk, and I'm not monitoring the kids in the back who are yelling and talking shit, or I'm yelling across the room. I used to be real into it, but recently because of my health issues, I get real tired and my feet get tired. So I'm trying to get back to that point to where I can, monitor vigorously. But the school that I'm working for, the system that I work for, it's a new type of system, and it works, and it works because they're very disciplined and they're very child oriented. They understand that these kids need structure. There's nothing more important to a child than structure. If you provide structure and you set, and it's consistent and it's daily structure with it, it's expected. When you come in, this is what you're going to do. And you're going to do this, and you're going to go on to this, and you go on from this, and you're going to go on to this, and then blah, blah, you're done, you go. If you have structure, kids crave structure. When you don't have structure, when you don't have that consistency, the kids feel like you don't care because you're not taking the time to create that environment.
Right. And
they end up having behavioral and disciplinary problems.
Well, I think that's where I was getting at with the disincentivization and the cynicism that you get in a lot of these the schools, because they're okay. Think of it this way, and this is just something I was considering while you were talking just now. A lot of the system is designed to have as few, let's say, special cases as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that like most of the development of our educational system has been designed towards trying to minimize the edge cases instead of having a built-in mechanism in the system to deal with the edge cases, because they're always going to be there.
Yeah, no, and we have what are called like special cases or ELLs, English language learners. So I have to modify my lesson plans for those particular students, and then we have other teachers that are called interventionists that come in and deal with those students in particular to help them get to the level they need to be with the other kids. And they're being monitored constantly, tested constantly to see that they're making progress. The public school system doesn't really do that. It's sort of like leave no kid behind.
Right.
I work for a system that I jumped into this particular system because I knew that they do care. They're not letting just kids fall through the cracks. They want all the kids who come from, especially from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, to have the same playing field as those that have the advantages, to give them excellence and give them not only the excellent teaching, but also, and provide that environment, but have those expectations. You're expected to have this level, be at this level. And if you're not at that level, that's fine. We're going to get you to that level. We're not going to leave you behind. And we're going to give you the tutoring, the help, and everything you need to get to that level. Because just because you come from a poor background or a disadvantaged background or a broken home or whatever, doesn't mean that you're any less worth any less than those that have it all. And most of these schools are set in rural areas for that reason exactly. And the whole purpose of the school system is to even the playing field for those that don't have those advantages. That's why I joined this particular school system, because I saw that they really do care. The other stuff, when it comes to behavioral problems and all that, and kids are coming from, parents sometimes are not involved as much. The kids feel like people don't care as much, so the parents don't care as much, so they come in with attitude and talk shit and whatever. Yeah, we have it more so than the public school system because of course, their situations. That's why the teachers that they hire have to come in, not only having a little bit of that background themselves, coming from that kind of a lifestyle, because you need a heart,
right, to
understand where these kids are coming from. You can't come from an advantaged background and teaching this kind of environment and be like, well, fuck these little brats. They talk too much shit. I'm out of here. You have to look past that and say, well, why is this kid acting out?
Exactly.
Why is he behaving this? What's going on in his home?
There's a root. There's a cause and effect for everything. And I've said this so many times, but I just wish that people would understand that it's very fucking simple. Like, in order for you to understand a struggle, you need to have experienced that struggle yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you didn't come from, like you just said right now, if you didn't come from a background of, like, where your mom, your single mom, worked 3 fucking jobs just to hold the house together.
Yeah.
If you didn't, and this is gonna sound totally fucked up, but it's the truth because I experienced it. If you didn't fucking eat oatmeal for breakfast, oatmeal for lunch, oatmeal for dinner for fucking 7 days out of the week for like 2 weeks because that's all there was, you're not gonna understand that. You're not gonna understand why some of these kids don't want to go back home, why they act out in class, because you don't understand that this is stemming from, like, the background that they come from, you know. Then you put these same kids with these overprivileged motherfuckers, and they feel worse because basically they got it, they see that they got it, and they don't.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then it creates that dividing line of, like, oh, I'm better than you because I got these shoes, I got this clothes. That's how I felt, bro. Yeah. I remember when I was like damn near 9 years old, man. The very first time that I understood what Jordans were and the status, because everybody wants that status growing up, you know. And I didn't have that, bro. We used to shop at secondhand stores. Yeah. Here, but our upgrade was Payless. Y'all fucking remember Payless? Well, yeah. That was our upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Still go there. You know what I'm saying? And Michael Blackson. Does anybody know who Michael Blackson is? Yeah. The comedian. He has this great joke about it, about like how when he moved from Africa to the U.S., like all of his clothes was second, third, fourth, and fifth hand, you know, from other people. When he moved to the U.S. and he was 13 years old, he's like, I had Walmart clothes on with the starter hat. Y'all remember starter? Yeah, the starter hat, the starter shoes. And people would make fun of me because I had some whack ass shit. They didn't understand. I was happy as shit because I was just telling them, this shit is new. Nobody has ever worn this shirt before. You know what I'm saying?
There's no sweat stains on it. You know,
you know what I mean?
There's no ring around the collar.
Exactly. And that's what people don't understand. Like, if you don't share, if you've never known what it's like to struggle, even when you become an adult, this kid is not going to respect you because you're not coming from where they're coming from. You understand? And I'm like I said it before, I'm not going to lie to you either, man. I had it bad growing up. Honestly, dude, it wasn't that bad. I never went to bed hungry. We had oatmeal to eat. We had beans and shit. And sometimes that's all we had. Yeah. But I fucking ate something, you know what I mean? There's other kids today that go 2 days without eating because they don't have anything to eat. Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it could always be worse. But my main point here is like you have to understand the struggle in order for these kids to respect you. Going back to bring it full circle, what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes, bro, an ass whooping is not eating. Yeah. Sometimes my question is, well, I mean, before you whooped his ass, did you at least try talking to the motherfucker first? Yeah. Did you try yourself to understand the problem before you took a fucking belt or whatever the fuck it was to beat his ass? Because there's a lot of parents that think that, I just gotta whoop his ass without understanding what happened themselves. Yeah. They go from 0 to 60, skipping everything else. Yeah. Try talking to the motherfucker at least 2 or 3 times before you fucking, whoop their ass. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, don't whoop your kid's ass every time. I mean, every now and again is fine because there's some badass kids that are not gonna understand, like myself. Yeah. My mom had the rule of 3. I grew up with the rule of 3. Right. My mom explained shit thoroughly 3 times to me. On the 4th time, she explained again after the ass whooping. And for me, I don't know why, man, but it was always after that 4th time, after the ass whooping, that I was like, okay, and I'll close off with this point. What really really think that really fucked up this generation is technology, bro.
Yeah.
When was the last time that you went outside and you saw a kid playing? Just playing outside. Playing outside. Just that shit doesn't fucking it doesn't happen anymore. You know what I mean? So I think that because of technology, I remember that's the way that our parents used to punish us. Yeah, I don't know if they ever did it to you, but I remember my mom used to tell me. Either I'm gonna whoop your ass after I had already fucked up, right? Either I'm gonna whoop your ass or you can't go outside. We take the whooping like a motherfucker. We be outside sniffling and crying. I'm outside though.
All feelings.
Yeah, man. So,
but I'm outside.
Yeah, but I'm outside though. So I mean, that's another thing. Like the broken communication within the families, and this shit right here. This is what fucked up, like the broken communication within the families, bro. Because we don't talk to each other anymore. We talk at each other. There's a fucking difference. And there's grown ass people, 40 and 50 years old, that do not understand the concept of I'm talking at this person. I'm not talking to them. Because they don't take the time of like, hey Sean, like I know you're pissed off and I know you're real pissed off, but why are you mad, man? Let's figure out why you're mad. It's like, oh no, fuck Sean because she's pissed off. Well, why are you saying fuck Sean? Well, because you told me fuck me first. I get it, but going back to the point that you made, why can't we try to have a dialogue before you take a 2x4 to the side of Sean Taylor, or if Sean took it to you? You know what I'm saying? Because we want to take the shortcut out and be like, you know what? I'll solve this with my fist, kind of like my kid. That's what I'm trying to. Hopefully, look, my kid grows up and I can teach him to talk.
That like a lot of the problem with like discipline amongst children is because parents are afraid to use corporal punishment. I think there's a lot because of that, because it's a multi-generational type of thing in a lot of circumstances. You have a lot of adults who don't understand that their behavior can lead to violence, like against them. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people that don't know when to shut the fuck up or don't know when to just drop a situation. I've seen a couple fights happen where some motherfucker did not know they just had to get the answer that they wanted out of a conversation, and it led to a fight.
Exactly.
And okay, like you were bringing up earlier, the idea of having the very structured discipline. If this happens, then this is going to be the response. And I think we've lost a lot of that just in dialogue amongst adults.
Yes. My ex-mother-in-law, she used to have that problem with me and my ex-wife, because we would actually get after our 2-year-old daughter, and we would talk to her like a grown person, and she would literally be sitting at the high chair, and we'd be like, no, ma'am, you're not gonna get this because this is what you did. And my ex-mother-in-law was like, she not understand. No, she understands. She does understand, because if she didn't, she wouldn't be doing why do you think she acts up with you, but she doesn't act up with us? Because she already knows at 2 years old that she can get away with murder with you, but she's not going to get away with it with us. You know what I'm saying? And you need a people have talked shit to me before when I say this, but like I said, I don't back up off it. You need to teach these badass kids that that like in Bernie Mac's famous words, they're not gonna kill me. I'm gonna kill them. You know? They're not.
Yeah, the hierarchy, they got to understand that the respect their elders, It goes back to just basic treat others like you want to be treated, and unfortunately, technology has definitely ruined a lot of our moral sense, our moral compass, and with parents themselves, because they've used technology as a babysitter, and it's allowed them to get away with not parenting. And one of the first things that I realized when I became a father at 15, 16 years old was that my life was over. My life was, and
your life as you knew it.
My life as I knew it was over. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't mean it in a bad sense. I just meant that as far as whatever goals and aspirations I had for myself, are now on the back burner.
Right.
Because my responsibility from then on was to be a father to my children and my first child, and then my other three after. And I realized that parenting was going to be a full-time 24-hour thing, that there's no amount of television technology or anything that was going to allow me to take a break. I saw the changes in society as we went from your desktop computer to your brick phone to your smartphone, and how it robs parents of the ability to be parents, because not so much robs, but it can rob, but at the same time it can be used as I guess a pacifier.
Yeah.
You know, and now you see kids that are 1-2 years old on tablets and smartphones and working through that like never before.
That's my kid, bro.
And
I'm gonna tell you, that's my kid.
And unfortunately, there's just so much crap out there that if you're not monitoring your kids, you know what they're seeing on that screen.
Oh yeah,
you're psychologically they're developing in a way that's not good, too fast, too soon, and not allowing them to be children. There has to be a phase. There has to be that infant, toddler, you know, young child, teenager phase. You're jumping these kids from infant to, you know, semi-toddler to adults. They're seeing, you know, adult things through these viewfinders, and you're skipping that whole phase of a learning process that they need in order to develop properly, in order for their brain, their neurons and everything. And they're getting to that 5-year-old phase where the pruning happens.
Right.
You know, the brain is starting to prune, and they've got all this negative shit left behind.
Well, consider even this. At I think 4 years old is the cutoff for basically at that point they should have the toolkit to be able to socialize with other kids. And think of it this way: if they have that little device in front of their face,
they're not socializing.
Well, not just that, but if they can just type in whatever they want to see and they automatically get it, they don't know, they lose out on that being able to, you know, we were talking about like kids not, you know, there are some kids that are a little selfish with their toys, but I think there are probably a large amount of kids at this point who just don't even know how to have that interaction of like, hey, are you using that? Can I play with that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mind if I borrow this real quick?
Your basic social skills.
Yeah.
They're lost because you're using this give me now, instant gratification. It's always instant. I want this now, and then it's so fast that I'm done with this. Here's the next thing, and I'm done with that. Gratified, next thing, and it's always instant gratification, and it's that feeling of entitlement. Automatically, they're getting that feeling of entitlement at a young age, that everything should come to them automatically the way it comes through the screen, and there's no sense of work ethic. They're becoming lazy, lethargic, and I saw it in my children. You know, because as soon as the tablets and smartphones came out, I started, and I'm like, nah, give me that shit. And there was one time I took my phone away from my daughter. She freaked the fuck out. She was like, no, the whole one. I'm like, I'm just taking your phone away. What the fuck's wrong with you? And she was like fucking throwing shit and everything. I said, you know what? Fuck that shit. I got the phone. I smashed the shit out of it. And I said, now you don't have a phone, period. And you're not going to get a fucking phone because of the way you're fucking behaving. And it's never going to, and I guarantee from the time I broke that phone until the time she turned 18 years old, she didn't have a fucking phone. Like 4 or 5, she was 14 when she did it. Right. And she went off and bought herself a brand new smartphone. Guess what? The only way I communicate with my daughter now, my 22-year-old, is through a fucking smartphone. Why? Because unfortunately, it's become her only way of communicating with the world. Yeah. You know, and my older daughter, they're a little less apt to, you know, use a smartphone because there's an age gap. But my 22-year-old and my 18-year-old, you don't see them.
It's part of their existence.
Yeah. You know, you don't see them without the fucking phone. And I've caught myself doing this shit where I'm falling asleep holding the fucking phone in my hand and I drop that shit. You know, I'm dropping it on my face and I pick it up. And instead of putting the damn thing down and putting it away, I'm looking through that shit again. Yeah. You know, and I'm falling asleep and I drop it and I'll go 2 or 3 times. It got to the point to where I said, man, there's something wrong with this. Yeah. You know, this is not right. There's something inherent, and the more I investigate, the more I see the way it's robbing us of our social interactions, of our lives, the less I want to have anything to do with it.
We've got at least another 10 years before we even know what a generation raised with this stuff is going to look like.
They're addicted. The same dopamine, the dopamine effect every time they get a hit off of the phone. The likes on Facebook, everything.
Right. I am a bit of an optimist in the sense that some of the, say the kids that came into it in their adolescence, maybe 10 years and older, was when they were introduced to this type of stuff. They seem to have developed at least some sort of coping mechanisms with it. Like you see a lot. YouTube, for example, is having a problem with keeping teenagers on the site. Facebook, the same thing. Like granted, Facebook they were never really meant for the younger generation, but they find that they do, the ads and all that shit. And like they seem to be much more aware of the context of some of this stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, what that's going to mean, again, if we're talking about a whole generation of kids that were infants being introduced to this and they weren't being socialized in a way that didn't have this variable of like, well, at any time I can just look away and stare at this screen for a few hours. I was going to bring up, you're talking about there's always a little bit of a benefit. I was reading a blog from a sci-fi author. He was talking about being kind of the stay-at-home parent for a few years and kind of finding these little innovative ways to basically share the space, his working space, along with the parenting space with his daughter, and like having like her little YouTube videos running up in the corner of the screen while he's answering emails and this kind of thing. And like he's right there, so he knows what she's listening to. He's able to respond to it. But then he also brought up the idea of, when you got to go take a shit, you know what I mean? Like, okay, here's a 10-minute video that I know my kid is going to be, engaged in, and they're not going to come A, bother me, or B, wander off and go do something detrimental to themselves. And I can put this on and know that I have a safe period. You know what I mean?
I'll give you an example that I had recently. I gave a lesson. This is why I love the school that I'm teaching for. I teach humanities, history. But because it's a short course per semester, it jumps around from certain aspects to another. One of the lessons was on fake news and journalism and being able to source out your information by figuring out if you're looking at a good site or a bad site, right? Based on .com, .web, .com, .org, .gov, what those suffixes mean and which are more apt to have more reliable information, right, and which are not. Right. So these kids are, 11, 12, some barely turning 13. And I'm looking at one kid. He's one of the more, I guess you would say, special needs kids. He's, got a little trouble. Good kid, but either way, he draws most of the time, right? So he's drawing, whatever, and we're doing an activity on searching the internet, and most of these kids already know what's up. Like, yeah, I know not to go to this site, that site. These are the more reliable educational sites. .gov, .edu. Stay away from all the other ones. For the most part, they're not that reliable. And so they're already hip to the fact, and they're already talking about these other websites that they've been going to. And I hear someone say Pornhub, Hamsterix, all these adult websites. I'm like, hey, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about, and they're laughing, thinking it's funny. I'm picking up paperwork at the end, and this kid turns in his paper, and on the back of it, he draws a perfect logo, black and orange, to Pornhub. To fucking Pornhub, dude. I'm talking the perfect fucking logo. And I'm freaking out.
Should be in a marketing school.
I'm like, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and he's looking at me like he wasn't supposed to give me that paper. Like he gave me the wrong, worksheet. Yeah.
Whoops.
And I'm looking at him like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, am I supposed to tell your parents? Am I supposed to, I'm freaking out as a teacher and as a person. Like, this kid's 11, 12 years old, and he's already exposed to some obviously extreme shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shit that these kids shouldn't be exposed to. And it left me kind of awestruck, and it really got my, these kids are already talking about stuff that, I mean, your brains are getting, you're getting mind fucked at this age,
Well, I mean, we're coming to the understanding now that there is a noticeable effect. There is a noticeable and measurable effect on the availability of pornography.
Oh, yeah.
And not just, I mean, the fact that we have like free video, 24/7 high definition, you know, the whole, and it, any genre you want.
Yeah, no, and that's the weird part. These kids are getting exposed to shit, and I know, look, I grew up, you know, like any other, I guess, poor fucked up kid,
magazines in the woods,
exposed to fucking all kinds of shit, you know, the dirty uncles and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Been through all that, and you know, thank God that I was able to survive that. And I can understand that, you know, from a fucked up background, I was exposed to that kind. But seeing that these kids nowadays, almost all of them, are just a click away from seeing the kind of material that takes away their youth, their childhood in an instant, because it goes from, you know, bunnies and bears to bunnies fucking bears, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the bears fucking bunnies? You know, like, that completely robs these kids of the concept of courting and relationships and you know, love and what it's supposed to be, into like straight fucking hardcore fucking and shit. You know, like,
well,
and
think about like the common something that, I mean, we heard back when, you know, you're a little bit older than I am. Like, me and Freddy about the same age, but I remember hearing like the whole idea of like, okay, some of these kids are like afraid to go talk to their parents about things, and you find that in those, you know, when you run in, you know, hey man, my buddy's got like a great relationship with his dad or something like that, and part of that is that ability to go, you know, hey, I've just experienced this new thing because you've made me at least aware enough that I am a young person and I will experience new things. Here's my thoughts on it. Can you, you know, help me walk through this stuff? And I think more and more, I've seen it in older parents as well, which is kind of weird. I mean, you run into like your older relatives, and they're already to that point where it's like, you know, there's a question asked, and instead of going like being curious almost in themselves and being like, oh, well, maybe this or that, it's like, Google it. Yeah, it's like that's not good.
No, it's scary.
And you know where again a lot of this I feel like got lost was, again, man. There's no more fishing trips. There's no more like father-son relationship. And you know what, man? Again, going back to being broke, forget the fishing trip. There's no more, hey, mijo, hey, pa, let me talk to you real quick. Let's just, you know, we go eat this burger. We go whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to think at this point, anybody can at least afford a burger, you know what I mean? Yeah. So hey, let me talk to you real quick. And you know the other thing that's not happening? Real fucking simple, bro. How was school?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what you learning in school? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And then going back to what you were saying earlier, there's also now that fear that the kid cannot tell his parent, oh, well, you know, this is bothering me, or somebody's bullying me at school, or that's why I feel that a lot of the work of the parent, you have to very early on instill in your kid that they can trust you with anything. Yeah. You have to let them know and show them that the door is open to for them to tell you anything. And that's what I'm trying to do with my kid. And that's why maybe some people look at me crazy, because I'm trying to, from now on, instill in my kid that I want her to know that she can come to me for anything. Like, as she grows up, if she ever comes across drugs, if she ever comes across, you know, I thought of like the craziest shit in the world that I need to figure out a way to tell my kid, you can come tell me and trust me first. And you know why? Because if I don't talk to her about drugs, if I don't talk to her about fucking pornography, if I don't talk to her about sex, believe me, somebody else will, and they're not going to educate her like her parents are. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The world is going to teach her the okay side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't want somebody telling your 10-year-old child, 9-year-old child, 13-year-old child, that type of shit. Because their mind is not fully equipped. Motherfucker, I've seen motherfucker 40-year-olds that their mind is still not equipped to handle a lot of fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes back to what you said. They don't know how to handle their kid. I shit you not. This was a while back, but I was at Walmart or H-E-B or one of the stores. And there was a grandma, there was a mom, and there was a kid. The kid must have been nothing but like 9 years old. The mom told her, put the thing back, or put the, whatever the fuck it was like, put it back. In the middle of the floor, the kid, told her no. First of all, I would have already ended up without my teeth if I would have just said that. This kid, not only did he not say no, the mom asked him like why, and the kid said, and I quote, "Because I don't fucking want to, and you're gonna buy it." In the store, bro. I wanted to choke the shit out of that kid. You understand?
Excuse me, man.
But so grandma was here. Grandma looked at mom, and grandma said, "Are you gonna handle that, or you're just gonna let him talk to you?" And then mom just stayed quiet, and grandma said, "See, that's why the kid doesn't respect you," and walked off. I wanted to walk by her, and I just wanted to say, exactly. But it's none of my business. I can't do that. It's not my kid. But my point is, going back to what you're saying, man, these parents are now, I don't understand. How are you afraid of your kid?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
it's
saying?
true. I've seen it. I've seen it live too.
I don't get it.
I've seen it live at my workplace where the mother comes in, because they call the mom in, and the daughter's like, talking shit to the mom, and the mom doesn't do a damn thing. Yeah. Same thing with the son, I think a lot of it would be remedied if there was a motherfucking manual for raising kids. Okay, straight up. But there isn't, man. No, there isn't. But there needs to be. There needs to be a general consensus in our society today that we all need to come to a general consensus and say, this is this at least the basics. At least maybe not into corporal punishment, but at least, hey, when your child's at this age and they start doing this shit, this is what you're going to do. If your child starts doing that, this is what you need to do. At least some sort of guide. I remember when my mom told me years ago that when I was born, the doctor handed her a little booklet. And it was a booklet on how to take care of your baby.
Right.
And it gave you the basics for the first year. It was like a Dr. Spock type of book. But it showed you the development of a child and what to do and how to do it, how to take care of a child. It was literally an instruction booklet on how to care for a child. Mm-hmm. We need to have more of that. We need to have more of that in schools.
Yeah.
We need to get back to basics, home ec, trade schools, because we're losing a lot of that.
How many times have I've said this so many times before on the podcast, man, exactly what you're saying. And the other thing that I've said plenty of times on here, in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. We need to teach these kids about taxes.
Oh yeah.
Like literally, just what are taxes? What are they used for? Well, let me rephrase that. What are they supposed to be used for? They're going to learn later that that's not always what the fuck they're used for, but at least what are they supposed to be used for? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are going into, like, no bullshit. They're going into college, and some of them have a general sense of what taxes are. But a lot of them just know that it's something that they pay on top of a price of a product that they're buying. But they don't know how it's used, where it's going, and why you're paying for it.
Right.
And then what ends up happening, but yet they want to teach them how to open up a business in college. But they've never learned about taxes. So what do? They open up a business. In 2 years, they're filing bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Why? I don't forgot to pay my taxes. Why did you forget? I didn't know there was an Uncle Sam. He was never my uncle. He didn't show up to my party, so.
Well, I think this, not to keep dragging out my own favorite pet theories, but I think part of the fact that we don't have this branching, say, development system for kids where it's like, okay, everybody's in the classroom. It's like, well, not everybody's going to be good in the classroom. Like some of these kids need to be
outside
doing things.
Well, I had the same issue with my son. He was not your classroom, role model student. He was always a hands-on visual learner. Of course, everybody has a different learning style. And that's one thing that the school system fails to do, is to figure out what a child's learning style is and cater to that learning style so that they can develop in a way that's conducive to how they learn.
Yeah.
Some people are more visual.
Well, I was thinking about this when you were talking about the idea of having like a user's manual type of situation. What I think, don't get me wrong, that drive is kind of there. Like, damn it, if you just explain this to me, I'd be able to do it. But I think we're more and more aware, just because of our awareness of like human psychology and development, that like the way that book would read would be like one of those like, if kid does this, then see, and you'd be flipping back to, the earlier segments. Like it wouldn't be a straight shot, step 1, step 2, step 3. There would be branching paths. There would be, I'm trying to remember whose quote that was. It was a famous stand-up comedian. I don't think it was Joan Rivers. But she was talking about like having kids and like realizing like, oh, like not a damn one of these motherfuckers is the same. Like every single one of them came out like with a, brand new fucking set of fucking problems. And
absolutely.
But yeah, I think we don't reflect that in the way that we treat kids in society, either through schooling. I think the whole charter schooling thing is a step in the right direction, but the tools still aren't there.
Definitely,
to help
it's a seed that's just barely been planted, and hopefully, with the right intentions, the charter school system with the right guidance will get to a point to where those that need the education in the areas that are underdeveloped will get it to challenge those the haves versus the have-nots. That's one of the biggest issues that I see, is that the poorer communities are not getting the same resources as the more wealthy communities. And so those are not getting the same opportunities. And that's being attacked upon too by, as far as, affirmative action now and the current administration and their beliefs. But that goes without saying. Every administration is going to have their own style of or their own way of thinking. Ultimately, for our society, we need to at least start having those conversations when it comes to, public mental health issues.
Yeah.
Dealing and that stigma behind it, and also, the issues with poverty and homelessness that can be taken care of. And people not having medical insurance, those kind of issues that you see certain candidates looking at. Those are important issues that I think one of the saddest things that I see is that when it comes to the Hispanic community that I'm a part of, because soy Mexicano, I come from that, from my family is Hispanic. There's not enough people that are registered voters coming out to vote. When you see only 11% or less coming out to vote and to make those changes that would need to be made and voting the right people in place, that's sad. That's sad. And it's sad because voting is a powerful tool. And as much as people like to think that, that it can be manipulated or whatever, to a certain aspect, certain extent it can be manipulated, but there's still a lot of power in numbers, and we need to get people to get off their asses and get to the fucking poll booths.
Right. And along with that, I'd also like to see a lot more people coming out to, the public meetings, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Whether it be city councils
be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, the school boards, most definitely. And you see shit, down here, it happens far too often where you see these administrations get in something like a county seat or a school board seat, and they start trying to disengage the public from those processes.
Yes,
There was, I think it was out in Mission they were having, or maybe it was Alton, where they were they were basically having the city council meetings at like 10 o'clock in the morning because they knew nobody would
show up. Yes.
And I've seen that situation play out in school board meetings and various.
But unfortunately, like there's a lack of leadership in the Hispanic community. Excuse me. I think we need another Cesar Chavez or somebody like that has a charisma and charm to go out there and gather the people and bring them out, because we have numbers that are unprecedented for our time. They're growing, and pretty soon we're going to outnumber, most of the other ethnicities out there, and we're the least looked upon.
But it's a problem when we're all rapists, right, and drug dealers.
Well, that's the sad part, is that we're being labeled as such, and a lot of people are starting to look at us differently.
One thing I would like to see down here in the Valley is a recognition. Okay, say for a long time we dealt with the very real fact. I mean, you could say it about a lot of places, but we were 20 years behind the times when it came to the economy, when it came to services and goods, the availability of technology. I mean, think about this. Through various reasons, the Valley is actually a hub for renewable energy right now. There's a lot of, and I remember not UTPA, but STC making a big deal about implementing the electronics programs so that there would, to train maintenance personnel down here. And I have not seen what the results have been in the last 5 years or so since they've started doing that, but my point being is, for a long time we had that. We really did need the outside resources to be able to do things down here. There were a lot of government grants and state money that was going down through here. Now, not only have we caught up technology-wise, by any metric, we are on par with at least the rest of the nation, if not a large majority. We're on the forefront of technology when it comes to the rest of the world. But what I was going to say was, I think now we're starting to see, we went through this long period where our economy was one of the largest in the nations, one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas. And now we need to start seeing more of a restructuring on the local level,
right,
and a re-incentivizing so that we're not still trying to bring in the state grants and the federal grants and all of that, because we have business down here that can produce corporate taxes, can produce goods and services that will benefit the communities. And like you said, we're seeing failure of leadership when it comes to a lot of the local policies that are being made.
Chingos of drug money and money laundering.
Well, see, here's the thing. A lot of that drug money, and, people don't want to talk about this, especially the climate right now, where it was like, though I think the response you saw to that shooting that happened with the Mormons down there in Mexico was kind of indicative that, like, a lot of people are aware, like, yeah, it's like, okay, that's all that is sad and horrible, and that should never have happened. But none of that is not explainable. I mean, it wasn't like some, out of the blue fucking event that just, some tragedy that occurred that has no precedence on it. You know what I mean? That happens an unforgivable amount in certain areas down there, and all of that can be explained by failures of leadership, failures in government, and even the U.S.'s foreign policy in dealing with Mexico on a lot of that. But I think the Valley would do itself a great favor. My point was getting at, some of that Coke money got put to good use. There are definitely some businesses that are
thriving because of it.
Yeah. And it's not always a negative thing. Hey, look, I'll said it before on this podcast. I'll say it again. I am for full drug legalization, if only because of the fact that we would open up an economy that right now is not being taxed and is not being held to a standard that, like, look, some people want to get high. I just want to make sure that, Teddy Roosevelt was a great president because he implemented that whole FDA thing. Like, they're a bit of a dick now, yada, yada. Scarelli's a piece of shit, but he's in jail, so fuck him. And the government owns that Golden Wu-Tang album. Guys, we're just now coming up on the second hour. Lo, it has been beautiful to have you in again, man.
Man, we didn't even get to it.
Yeah, I know. We're
going to talk about titties and beer. We get to that, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time for sure.
I'm going to be zen about this, man. I think if we had a healthy society in which we were bringing these kids up right, and we were doing our jobs as citizens of our wonderful, glorious little nation here, I think a lot more people would be enjoying good titties and fine beer.
I think you're right about that, because there's nothing wrong with adult entertainment if it's taken in the right context.
Yes.
You know, and that's all. It's about context, and it's about respect, and not going, you know, past that, and just being good people. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a good time, and that's what life is about. You know, busting your ass and earning that good time, because that's the whole point of life, is the pursuit of happiness, right?
Yeah.
You get to those little moments of happiness, and in all the long space of crap, but you fight for those little moments of happiness again, and that's what makes life worth, you know, living. You know, at least for me, it does, because that's what I look forward to. You know, those little moments of happiness, because there's, you know, we go through so much crap all the time, and sometimes, you know, we're like fucking helpless. You know, I want to kill myself.
Dude, that perfect moment, man, is literally when you can have that one little zen fucking like, this is fucking great, and then immediately take that feeling without feeling the need to extend that, like,
right.
like I need to do something to hold on to this. Like, no. I feel it now. I'm gonna turn around and go right back to what I was doing and fucking carry it with me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Was it proof is in the pudding, or
That's
in the eat, or how's that? Proof is in the pudding and the eating. I don't know. Anyway, cake and all that.
Cake and all that. Hey, man, thanks for having me out here, man.
Thank you, man.
I know it's been a
bit,
bit, but hopefully I can come back and talk a little more.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, if I do come back, I want to give you all the inside info on the etiquette and the proper way to act when you go to a gentleman's club, guys, because I know.
Yeah, don't touch them. They don't like.
Yeah, that's rule number one.
Yeah,
and don't go broke. Okay.
Ooh, important one.
That's the main one.
But also don't walk in there with $20 in your pocket. You understand? Because you will go broke
if you walk in with $40, 20 for the door and 20 for your beer, and whatever action you think you're gonna get with $10. Good luck, buddy. But yeah, we'll talk about that more later.
I remember feeling so happy with myself. I woke up one morning with a fucking neck pain where I fell down some steps, black eye, fucking almost busted my glasses. Barely made it home, blackout drunk. Looked in my wallet, there was still $200, and the bottle was still half full. Fucking glorious.
That is a glorious night.
My neck still clicks when I turn it to the left. Lo, I know you're still doing the DJ gigs, man. Can you give them a contact for that?
Yeah. If y'all are interested, private parties, events, 956. Look me up on the internet. Well, not the internet, Facebook. DeeJaylo. That's DeeJay Lo. Or IDEEJaylo @gmail.com. Hit me up, y'all. I'm down.
Beautiful, man. Freddie.
You can find me across the board on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Freddy G.
Freddy G.
Actually, hold on, man. And if you wanna, I'm not gonna fucking give my number, but if you want to,
that was such a great idea. I want to go back and edit that one out. Just leave my email and my Facebook in there. Sorry,
if you want to go ahead and get in contact with me to book me for private gigs, I still got some of my December still open. So I got reasonable prices depending on your venue and what you're doing, your event and the date. We can work something out. You can hit me up at xfreddygx@gmail.com. Please, serious inquiries only.
Of course.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm calling the book Freddy G.
We heard your sexy voice on the bike. Yeah.
Of course.
This party's going to be a little different. All right. You can find me at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com, as well as Hatfield Stand Up on Facebook and Twitter. My December is wide the fuck open, as well as 2020. Let it be a good year.
Hell yeah.
Good God, let it be a good... Anyway, if you would like to listen to the audio version of any of the episodes of this podcast, you can go to shoutengine.com/bouncing brains. You can also go to the Google Music Play Store app, as well as Stitcher. Find all the episodes there. You can find the video versions on YouTube, and you'd be able to see the American Sign Language that Lo was just throwing out to the audience there. I didn't know you were multilingual, sir.
What can I say? No, I'm just kidding.
Where were we going with this? I was trying to remember a joke about how do you silence a deaf man, break his thumbs, something like that. Anyway, too dark, man. So you can also listen to episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. on rgvtitanradio.com. New episodes every Friday. Check it out. If you'd like to get in touch, you can reach out to us at bouncingbrainspodcast@gmail.com, as well as Bouncing Brains Podcast on Facebook, Bouncing Brains on Twitter and Instagram. Folks, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Lo, thank you for coming.
Most definitely. Thank you for having me.
And until next time, keep it tight.
Keep it tight.
And well lubed.